This is the Lost Boy Creations podcast. Podcast about nothing.
But even nothing is something.
Music? Definitely. Sports? You got it. Key West? For sure. Get lost. Podcast with friends.
Fine. We got time. We got time. We ain't got nothing going on. Is that cool?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, sweet. You can fire these up whenever. Oh, they've been rolling even better. See that? This is how we, like I said, I'm not kidding.
I love it.
This is how we do
Yeah.
it. Oh, there's one thing I do need to grab. Can't use that
You
on.
can't get up now.
No, I just need my tin there just in case I need one of those bad boys for a minute. Yeah, that's cool though. Is this your first time in Key West?
It's first time
Drop that music a little bit.
in this. I've been to Ocean Reef on a fishing tournament, but nothing like this town. This is awesome.
It's cool, right?
Unexpected, yeah.
Golfer?
Nope.
You said Ocean Reef, so I had to ask because
Boater.
that's like one of the primo spots in the world.
Yep. But you're fishing. I think you're known more
Oh,
for the
for
fishing
sure.
here. It's crazy, yeah.
Do you do offshore mainly?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to say I've done offshore forever until I moved here and I started doing inshore. I'm a fly fisherman. Sean, our production assistant here, he's a fly fishing guide as well. The tarpon, bonefish, permit, it is so cool.
Yeah.
It's different. It's apples and oranges. You
Right.
know, it's like offshore, you're waiting, you're trolling, you're looking for X, Y, and Z. The inshore is like hunting. You know, you're waiting. There's something so cool, and it takes such a amazing amount of patience and resilience of just sometimes you sit there for 6 hours, you don't see anything.
Yeah.
But you get that one shot and you got to take it.
Yeah.
You got to take it.
Well, I have no patience, and I don't know if you know much
Fly
about
fishing
Lake
is
Michigan.
not for that.
No, Lake Michigan, we got salmon, coho. You got to
Yeah.
go 10 miles out. It's inconvenient. And when you get out there in a small boat, it's not fun. And you guys get the winds here too and the swells. So, but yeah, down here is amazing. Like for years, I've been needing to come down here and fish.
Those lakes are unforgiving. The weather changes way faster than it does here,
Yeah.
which is nuts.
Yeah, like a dishwasher.
You don't
Like
think about it because you think about a lake being a lake, but those are oceans.
Yeah. But
It's-
you charter a boat, and those guys don't care.
No.
The guys that own the boats, they're bringing you out, get their money.
Yeah.
They don't care if it's 4-footers, 6-footers. They're bringing you out there.
People puking off
Torture
the side.
you, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, they got to do what they got to do.
Yep.
If they can make it out, they're going out. And we got fishermen like that here too.
Yep.
If they can make it out, they're going
Yep.
out. End of story. So I know that you're born in Chicago.
Yep.
All right. So I mean, you're back there now too, though, right?
Yeah. I was gone. I obviously drafted by Montreal. Then I played 7 or 8 years in Chicago in the 90s. Moved to Detroit, lived there for 20 years. And then ultimately I knew I was going to go back to Chicago. My mom was there, kids. We all voted. We sat at a table and said, they were raised in Detroit, my children, but they, all of them wanted to go back and be with their grandma and people they knew when they were really young. But, I love both cities. It's just Chicago's home.
Mm-hmm. And now you lived in, or do you still have a house down in like Malibu area?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get rid of it.
I was
The
gonna say, maybe a little
fires,
higher.
the floods. But honestly, I raised my children in the summers out in Malibu, and it was the greatest thing I could do, get away, and be far enough away where I didn't have to come back and do anything for the Hawks or Detroit for that matter. It was just a good family time for the kids, and they loved it. But now, years later, they got their jobs and their kids, and it's just hard to get out to California.
It's weird. Everything kind of spreads out when you hit that certain age. You
Yeah.
know, like I grew up, I had same deal, such a close family. I only had one sister, but our cousins, we were basically siblings, all of us. We had a huge family. Every holiday was massive. It was so much fun. And then you hit that point. I moved down to the Caribbean. One of my cousins moved out to California. He went to, he was in Venice Beach. Another one moved to Washington. And it's weird to see how it all kind of disperses at that point. And, you still try to hang on to all those moments as best you can, whether it be the holidays or whatnot. But
Yeah, I think being a grandpa now, reality has kicked in.
how many grandkids do you have?
5-time grandpa as of
Whoa.
yesterday, actually.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, really?
As of
Congratulations.
yesterday. I won't see this one for a week, but
Him, her?
her.
What's her name?
Vera, Christine, they finally gave me a name.
Hey,
finally.
that's awesome.
Kind of a great
Congratulations.
thing. But yeah, everybody's good. But the whole dynamic, I didn't sign up for this, but you can't say no. It's it's round 2, the 5-year-old skating, the 3-year-old skating. So here we go again, and it's going to be fun. But boy, it's a life changer again.
Well, it's like that's a whole different thing too. Of everybody, different walks of life, obviously. Whether it doesn't matter where you are in the world, different walks of life, and clearly, your family's a hockey family through and through for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, your kids played hockey, right?
Yeah. Boys and girls. Yeah, both of them.
I grew up playing hockey, but never organized. It was always pond hockey, my uncle's pond, whatever. Once you're in that, and it goes the same thing for a lot of different industries, whether it be music or sports or whatnot. You get it's generational, and it because it's such a big part of their upbringing too. Like they watch dad play hockey. That's the norm, That just becomes part of what they're doing, what they're looking for, what they're trying to do. I think it's awesome. I think it's super cool to see the next generation come up and kind of like follow in suit and enjoy what they're doing. We're just talking about music and whatnot. How many kids do you see following dad's footsteps?
Right.
Like the most notable one I've seen recently, I was actually really fortunate to get to see him, but Jacob Knoll, which is Bradley Knoll from Sublime's son,
right,
taking over his dad's spot in Sublime, which is awesome, to see that kind of that transgression of being in the spotlight after your upbringing is pretty cool.
Yeah, and what's cool is like the similarities between their father and them, on the ice or being musicians, the just their look, and this Dylan's kid, and it goes on. Yeah. Pardon me, I'm forgetting his name, but the saxophone player for Springsteen, his son, incredible, like how he took over and stepped in.
God, it's gonna escape me now.
I know.
I'll have to find out
and
later.
I met him out in Jersey. I've only met him one time, but it really is the genetic thing. The Kachuk kids, the hockey players, the Brady and Matthew.
Yeah.
And their dad was a pain in the ass, like tough player, crazy, and they're chip off the old boulders.
They're making waves too right now, which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, your career is like, I think about this all the time. Like I was telling my mom the other day, I was like, you'll never believe who's coming in. Like I'm so excited to be able to sit down and talk. Your career spanned generations.
Yeah.
You saw everybody. I mean, you played against them all.
Yep.
I mean, you saw Gretzky in the longevity of his whole career. You watched Ovi come in the league. You've seen Sid come in the league. Like all these people. I mean, even before that, your goaltender is Patrick Waugh. Like it's insane to think how many greats you have seen through your career. When you put it, like when you really step back and kind of think about it, it's nuts to see. You saw a transition in the game.
Yeah. And starting with I played with Guy Lafleur, which is crazy. I just imagine Guy Lafleur was like a ghost to me. But I ended up playing with him my first year in Montreal, an all-time favorite, class act. Whatever he did, I did. Like he shaved before the games, right?
So
I go, why do you shave before the games, Flower? He goes, well, SC, because afterwards I just leave. I'm the first one out of the dressing room. I don't have to wait in the shower, nothing. So I'm like, that's smart. I'll be the first one in the bar with Flower.
How old was he when you were playing with him?
Honestly, it's crazy. He was probably 34 when he got traded from Montreal to Quebec and then the Rangers. But back then, 32, you're done. 33, it seemed like they're in incredible shape. Larry Robinson, Bob Gainey, and Lafleur. But that was just the norm because of the training. They did, bench press and rode a bike. Yeah. Now it's so sophisticated. That's why you see guys lasting as long as they do.
Well, that's something I want to unpack in a minute anyways. I've got questions about some of these guys that are in the league now, particularly with what Ovi just did, which is so awesome to see. That's a once in a lifetime thing for even the common fan to be able to witness, which is so cool.
Yep.
But you were there at such a young age, and like your training, we talked about it before we started doing this. You accredit a lot of your longevity to some of the stuff you do outside of hockey. You were talking about paddleboarding. That's been a big part of your life, right?
Yeah. I was ahead of the curve. In the 90s, I just was in a gym and I saw some guy training with his trainer, and they were just doing something different, like circuit training, somewhat to a boxer. So I walked up to them, introduced myself, and then 27 years later, I was with the same trainer. And then you talk about paddleboarding. I met Laird Hamilton in Malibu. I've been a native of Malibu for 30 years, summers. And I met him and a guy named Don Wildman, who was basically my mentor. But Laird, he didn't invent paddleboarding, but he sure brought it back to a level. Oh. And then the mountain biking out in California with Laird and Don Wildman. And we had this group called the Malibu Mob. We kind of, and Tony Danza was the first one. He didn't train with us.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it was Tony Danza, D.B. Sweeney, John McGinley, the actor from Platoon, and numerous. And we just started this. Timmy Comerford, the guitar player for Rage. We had the most bizarre group of guys, but they were all competitive. And it first started like racing in mountain bikes, but I didn't realize what it was doing for my legs. It was insane.
Oh, yeah.
What it did for
I'm
my
just
fitness.
like visualizing coming across the Malibu mob and being like, who the fuck are all you guys? This is out of control right now.
Yeah, we should have done a show, quite honestly, but it wasn't like that in the 90s. There were like cell phones, 95, 96, and
The better times.
yeah, the way better times.
Yeah.
And we just did it. And John McEnroe was another guy you'd never think. Like he competitor, obviously.
What's he like off the tennis
He's
court?
a dick.
Is he just the same way as you would
He's the
imagine him?
best.
Yeah.
He's so angry, it's
He's
unbelievable.
a dick, but he's our dick.
He's one of the greatest American tennis players, and we've been great friends. We have kids the same age that went to camps together, and he lives 2 doors down from me down there. But like I said, that group, the Malibu Mob, and our mentor, Don Wildman, he was the founder of Bally's Health Clubs. And this guy lived to just fitness. Like and he lived up to the name, Don Wildman. That was helicopter snowboarding. He just dropped me out of a helicopter my first time. Said, "You'll get down, don't worry." And I'm like, they're down, and it'd take me 4 hours to get down down to the bottom. Finally, I wanted to kill him, but it was torture, like in the beginning. But again, like what it did for me fitness-wise, and it's the only reason why I lasted as long as I did was because of what I did with these guys outside of hockey training.
It's interesting to see the different dynamics of the way people go through their training. It doesn't matter which sport it is, or even just outside of sport altogether, the way that they train. I mean, I joke all the time. I never was in the gym ever growing up. I was a swimmer. I swam competitively. And then I moved to a place where I can surf all the time. I never went to the gym because I was out surfing all the time. I was in the best shape of my life. And then I moved here where there's no waves. And I had to figure something out real quick.
Right.
It's so different, though, and the cross-training that you're talking about is, it's wild. It's something that needs to be more recognized, I feel like. Even the best athletes in the world, so many of them are stuck in the routine. And I think that cross-training really, it adds a lot to longevity.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah. Like I said, I think boxers, that's the toughest training there is, a boxer preparing. And they don't do the heavy, they don't need to. Like, that's not their thing. But as far as cardio, endurance, lasting longer than anybody, I think you go 12 rounds, right? Punching, you got 12 rounds. It's incredible what those guys can do.
Off topic, do you think Tyson could have actually beat Jake Paul if he tried?
That was a joke.
It was a total joke.
And if anyone ever pays to go see a fight like that again, just like Mayweather and the kickboxing guy too, that was all staged. They're smart.
I get it.
They made millions, but it was a joke.
I get it, but it's a bummer. I would just love to see Tyson actually go for it and just and do his thing.
But neither one of them did.
No,
He should have went after Tyson too. Do it. But anyway, I don't want to.
No,
I love Mike Tyson, and that guy's making money. And
yeah, they're all doing their thing.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But going back to the training thing, like I was in the 90s with Jordan, obviously, when he's winning all the championships.
Yeah, cross sports. You were around with everybody.
Yeah. And he had a trainer, so I go, I got to get a trainer. If MJ gets a trainer, I did everything he did. Like he ate like shit. He chicken McNuggets, drink like a fish.
Got a McDonald's sponsorship. I would too.
Yeah, good point. But no, like I said, and we got to become great friends. And winning's addictive, right? It's contagious. And we almost in '91, I think we lost in the finals, and we were going back to back with the Bulls. They won their first championship, but he was to watch that and see a city, what it does to a city, and you just want to win. So he helped me a lot too in the 90s.
I was really fortunate to get to see a similar situation in Boston in 2011, or I guess 10-11 when the Bruins won.
Yeah.
And the same deal. We had the Celtics were on top. The Bruins just won for the first time in 35 years. Like there is something special about that time when a city is rallying behind these teams. It was, the mecca of Brady. And granted, I'm not entirely a Boston fan, but I was a big Bruins fan. I got to know actually Ray Bourque and Reggie Lemon pretty well. I'm sure you squared off against a couple times on the ice. Yeah. And it was cool to be part of that, like camaraderie. I didn't even think about that with your career in Chicago, about the timing with Jordan and with everything like that.
Yeah, and then I got traded to Detroit, and the Pistons won 2 championships. So I got to see some great basketball. That was like the Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, that
Rip,
era.
UConn pride and joy, baby.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, die hard.
So
man.
I was spoiled. I got to see some of the greatest basketball, 90s and early 2000s. So I can't watch it now. It's all offense.
It's so different.
They're smart though. They don't hurt each other. They sign big contracts and change teams every 2-3 years. So
well, that goes back to one of my points that I was going to bring up before about the longevity of your career it spans, nearly 3 decades, which is wild.
Yeah.
The second longest, second most games played outside
Gordie Howe? No, I think I'm maybe 7th in games played, but for defenseman, number 1.
Number 1 defenseman, and you got the most playoff games.
Playoff games. That's
which is a whole different ball game too, because that's a different level in competition. But regardless, you've seen such a change in hockey over the years, and it goes with every sport. But they only mandated putting helmets on in 1980, and you were drafted in 81. Was it 81?
It drafted 81 and then signed in 83 with Montreal. But
crazy.
There's no way I was not wearing a helmet. I would have had a bullseye on my head. Yeah.
But the fact that was still an option for players to not wear helmets is nuts.
Yeah.
And then now you look at just the difference. I've got a buddy that worked for Bauer for years, and even in the 10 years he was working with Bauer, the technology change is insane. Yeah. Between the sticks, just going from maple sticks to now the composite and
the graphites,
they're nuts.
Yeah.
The skates, the Nike Vapors they have now, they're feather light compared to. I still have my dad's old CCM 85 Tacks.
It's crazy. Like I try and grab a wood stick every once in a while. I can't lift the puck.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's bizarre but the technology, and that's why the game's faster. And whether it's training or equipment, the technology is amazing.
You said something earlier about how the game's changed and how with this new training and the new attitude towards training, whether it be cross training or just traditional and the machines and the practices they have now. One of the questions I always think about though is the longevity of a player now versus the longevity of a player before. Obviously, who you were speaking of before, you said it was he was 32, 30, 35.
All those guys, like that was the norm. In the 80s, 32, 33, you were done.
You look at, again, different sport, obviously, not even nearly as physical, obviously. But I look sometimes at the other players that have been the iron horse of whatever it might be, Cal Ripken or Nolan Ryan or Tom Brady or whatnot. Do you think that the lifespan of these athletes is, I'm sure the average is getting longer, but do you think that like the exceptions like yourself and some of these other guys is getting that way? I also think that the game is changing so much that they can't necessarily keep up either.
Well, it's not as physical, first of all. In hockey, they've changed the rules, all sports, to protect the players and create offense. Yeah. And hockey especially, doesn't benefit the defenseman. No. But you still see the Ovechkins, the Crosbys, McKinnon's a little younger, the 37-year-old, 30-year-old guys that are elite players that are still competing at a high level. And that's because of training. But, no one's touching Sidney Crosby regular season. I wouldn't touch Ovechkin and let him sleep. He's a horse. He'll run you over. But no, it's the game's changed a lot. But when playoffs roll around, it's every man for himself, survival of the fittest.
I love watching, again, being a Bruins fan, I think one of my favorite new rivalries in hockey right now is Panthers-Bruins. Yeah. There's something special about it. It's really cool. And now being in Florida, there's like an added little extra little jab to it that I kind of like. But it's nuts. It's one of the coolest things. And it's one of the few sports that allows a little self-governing because you don't see that in many other sports.
No, it's kind of barbaric, but we're the only sport that allows fighting. And they're trying to get rid of it, but they know the fans.
No, you can't.
No, they govern themselves.
I did see that they were going to try to get rid of it. They're at least going to try to knock it down a little bit.
But well, it's filtering from the minor league team, from the AHL.
Yeah.
They're really, and that's more to protect because that's a development ring. They're protecting the younger kids. But NHL and the Four Nations is a perfect example. At the end of the day, we're North American hockey. And fans want to see North American style hockey, and that's what they see in the playoffs.
That was fucking crazy, by the way.
It was crazy.
I was blown away watching that. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think it was a morale booster for everyone in the U.S., whether you liked hockey or not.
Yeah. Well, I think Billy Guerin was the GM of that team, and he was part of our '96 team, the World Cup, where we beat Canada. The only time we've ever beat Canada, to win the gold. And we had Paul Holmgren as our assistant coach, and those guys would fight after practice, every practice. Kachuk, Guerin, and there's one. Oh, Darian Hatcher was in on it, and it was pretty nuts at that time. And I think that carried over with Billy Guerin. It wasn't staged. Like the Kachuk boys, Matthew and Brady and JT Miller decided, piss on it. Let's go after them. Now I wish they'd have done it the second game, because Olympics will be a different story. You can't fight.
Yeah.
And you can't get away with it. That was a green light, that tournament, because there was no rules to just go for it. So it was the greatest hockey. It was a great game. Unfortunately, we couldn't pull it off in the end. But it was still unreal to 14 million people, I think, watched the second game.
It's nuts.
Because of what happened in the first game. So, and even Canada, we had them, thinking about it again. They're ready to throw in the towel when the game was so close, but you got to give them credit, Canada. When the push comes to shove, they win that big game.
No, they definitely do, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see too, like the difference of when it's on an international scale versus a national scale too, like how everybody wants to rally behind their troops,
right?
Like that, no matter how it goes.
Yeah, it brings everybody together. That's for sure. Olympics is my favorite thing, because regardless of your political views or whatever you are, everybody's on the same page of the Olympics.
You played what, 1, 2 Olympics?
I think I played 4.
You played 4? Yeah. Oh my! I know you had a silver medal one year, right?
Yeah, and Salt Lake, and that was the greatest hockey ever.
Yeah.
We lost to Canada in the finals, but we had those 2 tough games against Russia before. No excuse. Joe Sakic single-handedly took over the gold medal game, and I love him.
Again, back to all the people you played with. I was going through the list, thinking about in my head. I'm like, I wonder if you played with. Yep. All these different people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild to see what you've done.
Yeah.
But post hockey, I mean, clearly you are still doing your thing. Like I said, you've maintained your physical fitness through X, Y, and Z activities.
Yep.
You've started a tequila company. I mean, you got some things.
I don't know if that's a good thing at 63.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
No. It's
great
unbelievable.
tequila,
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm known for being healthy and the whole thing. So I'm not going to go and tell you drinking's healthy, but
everything in moderation. Everything in moderation.
Right.
I'm a complete in complete agreement with that.
Yeah, and
awesome.
it is additive free. You can't do the organic thing because you can't trust the Mexicans down there. You don't know what they're doing.
No.
But if it's additive free, you can control that. Now, what they're spraying in the dirt, you don't know, and it's a whole different process.
Can't be any worse than the U.S.
No, it's the same. So it's just not. And it'd be nice to know if you could control the organic thing, but you can control additive free, and that's, to me, that's. It's really important that and it's clean, and the no hangover thing, no sugar. It really makes a difference. And and the traveling. First time in the Keys, like it's been a great experience. I've never would imagine there was a downtown here. I had no idea that
It's
this was
a
here.
small downtown, but man,
It doesn't matter.
It's fierce.
It's like
fierce.
a miniature Nashville. Like it's crazy.
It is. The music industry here is. We say that it's a mini Nashville. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really started until like post-COVID, where we got a ton of people that rolled in. There was a lot of good musicians here before, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like right post-COVID, when we were kind of one of the only stops for people to go on a tropical vacation without leaving the country, a lot of people rolled in, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And still, a lot of these guys are now resident musicians.
Right.
Some of them amaze me that they're not on a national scale. They're so good. Some of the best voices and best guitar players I've ever heard.
Right.
And even going back to what you were talking about, like Pearl Jam with Eddie and this.
Yeah.
I mean, we got some people here that there's a drummer in particular, Dave Warren, one of the best drummers I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he's a savant. I don't know how he does it. It's nuts to get him behind a drum kit when he's not having to do the one-man band show he normally does here. It's apples and oranges compared to what he's doing. There's a lot of cool musicians and cool acts down here. But, I mean, El Bandido has made a big presence, I feel like, in Key West in the past few years, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And to be totally honest, I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea you started it until we started trying to
It's
set
our
this
best
thing
kept
up.
secret, but
I
now
know.
it's out.
It's out now, dude. I can't
We're gonna
believe I'm the guy
associate
that's
the
going to
name to
I'm
it.
gonna
Hopefully,
I'm gonna sell it out to everybody.
well, it helps, like I said, because of the Michigan, Illinois, even the East Coast people I thought hated me, Philly, Boston, they love it.
Well,
And
Philly hated you
they're
for
supporting-
sure.
They still hate me.
I know that.
That's why I don't go out past 11 o'clock at night, because I know something bad's going to happen.
I wouldn't either. They throw batteries at Santa Claus, dude. You can't go out there.
I'm not scared.
I wouldn't be either.
Yeah, the fire's still, I don't have that flame I used to have, but I'm ready.
So, obviously, like especially in Philly, you had a reputation as a bruiser, as an enforcer, I should say, not a bruiser.
Not heavyweight. I was middleweight, and I was
Whatever.
dirty. When you're 6 foot, you got to be dirty.
Yeah, you're not Chara. You're not sitting there.
No, I'm not Probert.
I love when just watching him do this and just hold people off as they swing under his arms. Like, yeah, you're not going to do that.
Best move is choke move.
Yeah?
If you come up behind a guy, you can choke him to death. I did it to Keith Kachuk, his rookie year. He came in the scrum, so I just come up, and I did it. He was kicking his feet. He's kicking his feet, and all of a sudden his feet stopped. So I go, okay, let him go, and I just poked him in the chest. I got you. He's in the pen. You're gonna kill me.
Oh my
I said,
God.
well, don't go in the scrums anymore. Like,
Well, I have to laugh. I meant to say something before.
Not to interrupt you, but this
no.
I feel this thing.
I was just going to say, people are probably wondering why we have these things going on.
Yeah,
we've got our
We put
wonderful,
Reposado in our IVs. Yeah.
our
Great.
wonderful new sponsor, IVs and the Keys. They're right around the corner here. And they were kind enough to come set us up with IVs on the podcast today. Yeah. So we can drink tequila while we rehydrate.
It's awesome.
Thank
you.
They've been a huge part of Key West in the past few years, which has been awesome. They set up at all the concerts. They've got their IV things going on. They've got an actual bus they bring with their whole setup, which is so cool. So when you go down to the amphitheater to go see God knows who it is, I think I've watched people getting IVs for Slightly Stupid and for Red Clay Strays and Shane Smith and the Saints. And it's the best hangover cure you can possibly get, which is awesome. And they're great neighbors. Our friend Morgan came over today, got us set up with our IVs while we sit here and drink and talk shit.
It works. I mean, I haven't gotten to that point where I think I need them because this is so healthy. But my 92-year-old mother religiously is doing IVs. Every week she gets hooked up to this and helps her a ton, like honest to God. So
it's a nice preemptive thing, you know. And for us, like I said, fortunately, it's right around the corner, right on Whitehead Street. So if you're in town in Key West, go get your IV, get set up for nursing a hangover over at IVs and the Keys.
Absolutely.
And but
it's on the way home. It's on the way to the bar.
I was gonna say, especially when we're drinking El Bandido.
Yeah, if they're wondering what we're looking at Morgan, and there's my staff over here. You can't see them, but they're over there. I don't know if they're laughing.
We got a packed house. We got a Chicago Blackhawks in the thing. Yeah. So he's actually our good friend Brian here. He's the owner of the bar next door, and he did his whole hockey thing up in Chicago. So they have a Chicago.
Oh, I know. Is that your mom? Is that your?
That was my mom.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
This is crazy. His mom.
The Chelios. No, what was it? The Chelios jersey? What was it?
Yeah.
Chelios jersey. Do you remember it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I took a picture of it and sent it to Seabrook. Yeah. But she actually was running the rinks where I grew up.
No way.
This is crazy. Yeah. Right in my neighborhood. Yeah.
No. I mean, I knew she was running rinks because we've talked about it before.
She left Crestwood. She left SIA before I got there, but she was at Arctic.
Nice.
So, refill?
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying? Yeah, why not?
I mean, we're getting a little warm here.
Grace. No, sit down, Grace.
Oh, no. Sean is on top of it. He watches the cameras. He makes sure that everything's going right. We're not losing any sort of audio or anything like that.
I got to be honest. This is the first podcast I'm allowed to drink our tequila. It's awesome.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this is sick.
I tried to explain it to your crew before. I was like, this isn't an interview. It's not a podcast. It's us shooting the shit and talking.
All
Thanks,
good,
buddy.
yeah.
This is us having a good time and just kind of enjoying ourselves. And fortunately with Key West, we get a lot of really cool people thank you very much. We get a lot of cool people that walk.
Can they see the?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, and you got three. You've got three. The Añejo, the Reposado, and the Blanco.
Yeah, and obviously the Blanco is made overnight. These two are aged 6 months, 1 year. So that's what gives it the little flavor out of the whiskey barrels. And
so how did you get into it, though? I mean, like, realistically.
Drinking at 2 a.m, Jim Bob Morris, my partner, when all great ideas come about, right?
There's not much more that can be said about that.
And we're sitting in the bar in Chicago, Lux Bar, And I just met Jim Bob that day. He'd played in my golf tournament. Never, and we were drinking. I won't mention the name, a real garbage tequila, but the initials are Casamigos. And can we do that? Can we
10?
trash Casamigos? They sold
10 what? I got 10 minutes of film left? Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's okay. I love this.
Oh,
yeah.
no worries.
But
Like I
anyway,
said, we don't give a shit. We're just
anyway,
going.
we were drinking Casamigos, and it's got so much
I know.
stuff in it. And since they've sold it, it's not on Randy Gerber or Clooney and those guys.
Yeah.
They sold it Diageo, and Diageo started taking shortcuts. I hope I don't get sued for this. Jesus. But anyway, they can't sue me. I got nothing. But anyway, Jim Bob decided he wanted to make a tequila, and I didn't think anything. I thought he was joking. But 3 months later, he's got samples. He's been down to Guadalajara twice, and he came up with a tequila. And what convinced me was we did a blind taste with 7 guys, and everybody picked the same.
That's awesome.
So I go, you know what? It's good. This is the real deal. So the juice is great, and it's been a great experience.
So that's what it is. I mean, if you like it, if you enjoy it at the end of the day, there's definitely this. It kills me that there's this brand. I hate to say it like this, but brand fucking. You know, there's a brand that everyone wants to gravitate towards for one reason or another.
Right.
And it might be garbage product, but the reality is that might have a certain marketing scheme or whatever. And I see it across all markets and whatnot. It's not like it's not an uncommon thing.
Yeah, we don't want to be known, quite honestly, as a celebrity-owned tequila, but
which I respect the hell out of, because you want to see the quality of the product do the talking for you. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, but in Chicago, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, just because of the affiliation with hockey and myself and the reputation I built over the years, why not buy your own, like homegrown? I support anybody who's from Chicago businesses.
Yeah.
So we're in Bloomington, Illinois, based out of there, where Jim Bob's living, and why not support your own if it's a great product? So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know we're getting close on time. There's a couple things I wanted to ask you about before. There's one thing that I learned about you long before this even came about.
Yep.
You were cut from your college hockey team, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
A couple times.
Yeah. College and junior. Yeah.
You have now since been recognized as one of hockey's greatest 100 players of all time. There is something so special about going through that process. I mean, I've been knocked down a handful of times, and I'm still down. But to be able to overcome that is such an incredible thing. Like, talk about a story of inspiration. It really is. It's wild. As we discussed before, how long you played, the accolades that you've acquired over the years, and to have gone through that to start, like, that's such a crazy process.
I mean, it's not like I had expectations of being a pro hockey player.
No, but you persevered.
But you know what? If there's no expectations, there's no disappointment. So I played it because I loved it. And I was small, like I was undersized. I grew 2 inches at 19, you know, and it just, the timing for me worked out, but I'll keep it short because it's a long story. But the fact that I moved to San Diego when I was 16, I quit playing for 2 years. I skated for fun, but I was put on this earth to play hockey, no question. Like, you know, I don't believe in God or not religious, but no question, you know, I met a guy on a beach. It's that simple. After 2 years in San Diego, I met a guy on the beach, and he said, here's a phone number. Call this guy. You're a pretty good player. You could go play in Canada. And I'm like, I did that last year. I got cut. I said, I have no money. I can't afford the ticket. They paid my way after arguing with the coach. I said, look. And he said, well, what position are you? I go, what do you need? He goes, defenseman. I go, I never played defense in my life.
What was your position before?
Center. I was just a small, little, skilled center. Never,
been stick handler, just go.
Good. Like, not the best player on my team ever growing up, but so I flew up to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. You know where that is?
Yeah. Well, not really, but I know where it is on the map.
It's 8 feet from the Moose's ass.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
But anyway, I go up there, and he saw me, he picks me up at the airport, and he looks at me, and I'm small. He looks at me and just goes, and I could see he's disgusted. He's like, what am I? So I sat the first 2-3 games, and someone messed up, and he put me in there. First shift, I score a goal. So he comes down to the end of the bench. He goes, "Can you fight?" I go, "I've never been in a fight in my life in hockey."
You better drop those gloves.
He goes, "Well, if you're going to play in this league, you're the only American. You better learn how to fight." I go, "Okay." So next year I pick a fight with Garth Butcher, who was a player, but he was 15. I go, "I can beat this 15-year-old. He killed me. But the minute I got out of the penalty box, I went after him again, did better. So I learned, how to fight after 2 years. And it's crazy that everything that went bad, like you mentioned, Michael Jordan got cut from, or not, right? So it just, I was never disappointed. I never ever looked back. It's that rearview mirror at Pearl Jam, I never looked back. I just looked, what's next? That was my thing. So I just decided from that point on, okay, things are going good. I got drafted. I got a scholarship to Wisconsin. At least one thing, I'll get a degree. And then it just got better and better. And
it's wild, man.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Well, dude, there's so much more I would love to talk to you about. We've got music.
I talked this camera down, didn't I?
No. Wait, is one of these cameras going down? Oh, gotcha. Well, that's fair. We don't want to knock any local restaurant. We don't want to keep them waiting.
Big Cheese, though. I got to plug Big Cheese.
Yeah, for sure. They're our neighbors here,
Yeah,
man.
I know. Everybody's friendly. The neighbor. That's
our neighbors on Southern Street. Big Cheesy's right across the way. We got some awesome bartenders. They're crushing it. Everybody over there, they're doing a great job.
Yep.
We got Bearded Lady next door, Chicago family-owned bar.
Yep.
Best beer and wine selection in Key West. They've been nominated now 3 years in a row.
Wow.
For best beer selection. Twice. It won best beer selection.
That messed you up, though, that
Key
strong
West.
beer. Oh.
Well, that's why I've only gone through half of it while I'm drinking tequila.
There's probably more alcohol content in that than there is in the tequila. No, there's not.
I don't think
we
so.
got 40% here, yeah.
Well, again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming out,
Matt.
man. Like, it's a cool thing, and the more that I learned about you in the past half an hour about your routine and the surfing and the love for music and Pearl Jam, next time you're here, we got to go into a whole different rabbit hole because I would love to talk to you about Eddie and I didn't even get to tell you about my favorite concert and why I was there and all this stuff.
I'm not knowledgeable like you about music. I love it, but I'm just kind of easy, But the thing with Eddie was the fact that it was like we had this connection when we met because he was in Chicago, then San Diego, like I was. In 91 or 90, I believe he went to Seattle, and that's when I left for Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
That's kind of, when we did not 90, that's way before. 79 was when I was in high school, but 91 is when they got their break, and that was the year I got traded to Chicago. So there was just something weird about.
Yeah, but then they played their best shows in Chicago while they were there.
They closed down the Chicago Stadium and Wrigley Field and so many good shows, and now they got their tour coming up, 6 cities. It's going to be amazing.
I don't know, maybe I'm going to drag my ass along with you on Thursday and go see him in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard Rock. Yeah, it's going to be small venue.
Cheers. Thank you so much for coming, man. Yeah. Thank you. And like I said, we'll do this again. When next time you're down here, we'll do another little El Bandido tour, get some IVs, and do it again. Sounds great. Awesome, thank you. Man. Thank you again. Yeah, appreciate it. Great shop. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thanks so much. Golden.